Santa Claus.
What do you want to call that?
Coming straight from the ghetto. Post-spawn to summer transition.
On to summer transition. Oh, too many eyes in there. Hang on. Wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, dang, I'm talking too fast.
All right. Yeah.
Transition. Yeah. Let's throw that one out there. Oh, we can't do both of them. Damn.
What?
I had the BYB and THM up there, but
Oh.
I guess it didn't matter. It's whatever. 15 people in here already? Oh, better go back to comments so we can see who's coming in. Oh, I'm sure they're rolling in. This thing takes a little bit. It lags, yeah. I've noticed that. It lags behind a little bit, especially when you first start off.
Yeah, it's nice being up here, though. You got a lot better monitor than the one I had. The one I got's really small. It's
What's up, Daryl? Brian? Joe's in the house. David? Steve? All kinds of guys rolling in.
What's up, Steve?
Greg drove tonight. I know. It's actually, we're still here, but at my house, but somebody was actually early.
Yeah, I got off work at a decent time, and instead of going home and getting involved in anything else, I just stayed focusing.
There's a good one to start it off with. Dan P.
Can you talk about the shad spawn? It's kind of going on right now. It's getting ready to take off. I saw yesterday I was over and I called you on the way home, but
I tried to call you back.
Yeah, and then I got tied up putting all my stuff away. But I saw the gizzard shad up in the grass, and I was actually throwing a black buzzbait, and I saw these fish following the buzzbait. I thought they were bass, because I saw that black tail coming.
Yep.
And these were like 8 to 10 inch. Shit, they were gizzard. They were big ones. And for about 6 or 7 casts in a row, I had a group of anywhere from like 2 to 5 follow my buzzbait all the way up out of the grass. So they're up in there getting ready to do their thing. And
we had the exact same thing with swim jigs over at Egypt.
Really?
Just minnows constantly just following it all the way back to the boat. The guy I was with, actually, he caught one on a chatterbait coming through them. And you could see them. They were all following it right along. And all of a sudden, they just scattered everywhere. Boom. That was it.
Yeah.
So.
Did you see anything busting them or?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I take it back. We did see it real early. We seen a couple of them in the back of a cove, but it was, super, super shallow.
It takes a little bit for the bass to figure out what's going on from what I've seen, and once they do, it gets right in a hurry. So that was early, with the shad spawn, it's definitely low light periods. A lot of times it happens at night and then first couple hours in the morning, but they'll also do it I've seen it in the middle of the day in the shade, like in shady areas around docks that got a lot of shade.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that, but it does happen in days. Especially, I've seen the gizzard shad do that a lot at Lake of the Ozarks.
I've seen Denny made it in here. The MB says, especially on Lake of Egypt, did you see any spawning at the last turning? I did see. I've seen a lot of smaller bass. I'm going to say in that probably 12 to 14 inch range. We've seen quite a few of them still up on the beds. The fish that we were catching, the bigger ones, were completely spawned out. But I think what was happening there is they're actually out deeper. If you're wanting the bigger female stuff, and Ron and I were actually talking about this earlier, they're definitely out deeper. But you can catch them little bucks up there and everything else, and little fry garters, stuff like that. We were talking to, dang it, Ron, help me out here. Trying to get who it was a while ago. Kevin Robertson. He was on there talking about, throwing a swim bait or a S-waver, and I told him those are really good for around those bass that are around beds and guarding them fry and stuff like that. You'll get murdered on one of them things up there. But anyway, that's kind of where Lake of Egypt's at right now. So.
What's up, Mike? Mike Marfell. What's up, homie? I need to get a hold of you, man. See how your tournament went this weekend. He was fished. I think he fished the Anglers in Action down there at Lake of the Ozarks. I haven't talked to him. I'm hoping that we're going to go down there next weekend. Not next weekend, but the following weekend.
It says Tom's got temperatures of 67 to 68.
Hey, I saw 70 at Grassy. yesterday.
Really?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Man,
Back
we were
in the
hitting
pocket.
like 63, about 64 some places.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised right at the end of the day. Well, it was about 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. I saw 70-degree water.
Yeah. So you said you had Shad fall on the swim bait all day, Kincaid?
Yep.
So I guess the rumors are true. Kincaid's back open.
From what, yes, I heard it was crazy over there too. I guess I don't know when Steve was over there, but I heard this weekend there was tons of boats.
I believe
exactly what you would expect. There, I mean, there's been tons of boats everywhere.
I tell you what, before we get into that, why don't we get Ron on here, because that's kind of our main topic of some stuff we want to talk to him about.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we'll get Ron on here real quick. We're going to talk about some other stuff going on here about lakes being overloaded. So.
Yeah, so guys, this is our special guest, kind of a surprise guest. It's Ron DeRosa. He's a smallmouth guide in Mille Lacs. Maybe not this year, but he's a Southern.
Last year, next year, I don't know about this year.
Yeah, so he's got the lowdown on a lot of those lakes over there that we talk about. So have you seen the shad? Any sign of a shad spawn recently?
Yeah, that one day last week or whenever it was, we were on Cedar together in different boats.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up on the north end, and the wind was pounding into a little corner. And I noticed the same thing, fish following my chatterbait out to the boat, and started paying attention. And sure enough, it was the shad. And I got up and I saw in one little corner where they were all balled up and swimming in circles and doing their thing. That was an interesting day, though, because then the further you went south on the lake, I didn't see it. About the first third of the lake, you saw it. So it's starting to happen in our lakes. I was listening to you guys talk about the shad spawn on Egypt, and one thing I kind of flashed in my memory real quick. I fished a tournament last year right before I headed to Minnesota, and the shad spawn had started a little bit, and we did really well throwing spinner baits with small willow leaf blades, kind of to match the hatch, so to speak. I just remember that from hearing you guys talk about the shad spawn starting over here at Egypt.
Yeah, well,
I haven't been on Egypt in like 2 weeks, so.
That day that I talked to that you're referring to, where there were a little bit of a shad spawn going on in the north end, I stayed on the south end, and I didn't encounter that really. I saw a few gizzard shad up shallow, but I didn't see the typical balling up and the swirling that goes on. So that is interesting that it's it was going on in the north end, but not on the south end.
Yeah, and I don't know. I need to know more about the shad. And I don't know if that was watercolor related. I don't know if they need a little bit clearer water, which it is on the north end of Cedar. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if that's a factor or not, because water temperature certainly is warm down south as it is up north.
It's funny that you say that, because right off the bat in the morning that we went to, you guys know where I fished at. It's pretty far down the other end. But we didn't see the shad nearly as much back there. Now, once we got back towards the main marina and that clearer water down there, that's when we really started seeing the big groups of them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. So I don't know if watercolor has anything to do with them or doing that or not. I have no idea. But they're notorious for following a bait back to the boat. They can't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a sure sign. So,
yep.
But
we were talking earlier, Ron, about our lakes just absolutely getting overrun.
Yeah,
I've seen it firsthand in the Lake of Egypt. I've seen it kind of a little bit up here, my local lake here. But I mean,
really,
you live there. I'm sure you see it more than anybody.
Yeah, it's been. We talked about it real briefly on Facebook, and Gabe and I have kind of back and forth a little bit on it, and I've tried to address it with some of my tournament friends here, and kind of an area you got to kind of talk. You got to be ginger a little bit. I mean, everyone has the right to go to the lake, but with a lot of people off work right now, if they're a non-essential employee, they're hooking up their boat and they're going to the lake Monday through Friday, not just Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Lake of Egypt, it's always popular, and it always does get crowded this time of year. That's part of Lake of Egypt, but it's been incessant this year. Kincaid, the Johnson Creek ramp, I guess, has just been packed. Now all the other ramps are open, so that maybe will help. They're opening up Wren Lake, maybe that will help. But yeah, it's been concerning to me, especially owning a home over here on Lake of Egypt. I don't want the fishery to get hurt. So it's just something that you can't help but be aware of this year.
Well, it's kind of been a perfect storm because, like you said,
Gotta come back to this.
Oh, got to come back to this.
Yeah, I think it's going off his speakers over there.
Okay. It's kind of been a perfect storm because, like you said, there's been a lot of people that are out of work. You got a stimulus check that came through. So you got, some extra liquid assets. And then you got gas prices are really, really low. And there's not much to do as far as socially. A lot of people would go out to eat on Friday and Saturday. That's kind of a big tradition. People will go to the movie theater. They would go to trampoline parks or whatever they do. So really your options really, it's really out on the water. That's kind of how it's been.
Yeah, and it's again, you can't begrudge anyone from wanting to go fishing. And so anyway, my solution, what I've tried to do is I've tried to take advantage of our smaller lakes here, which are Devil's Kitchen and Little Grassy, are much less pressured, even with what's going on. So I've hooked up the John boat instead of the big boat, and I've fished those lakes. And then it's been a while since I've been in Egypt, but trying to pick bad weather days to fish the more crowded areas. The bad weather will chase some of the guys off the lake, and you can get on Cedar a little bit easier. Cedar's getting hit hard. And this lake is, as we said, but the bad weather, you can kind of take advantage of that. And then the other thing guys can do is when you're fishing, you can change the way you fish a little bit too. If you're fishing Egypt, let's say you're out there fun fishing and it's not a club fish off or something like that. You don't have to target the fish on the bed. You don't have to target the fish that are guarding fry. You can change what you do and kind of challenge yourself to find other fish, and you can have a positive impact just by your personal choice on how you conduct yourself on the water. And that's been my answer for me anyway. And
it's a good time to find those ones.
Yeah, it's because it's May and it's going to be June in the blink of an eye, and you're going to have to start thinking offshore here anyway, at least on our clear water lakes. I had a great when I saw you yesterday at Grassy, Gabe. I really enjoyed myself. I went out there and purposely fished basically summer stuff. And I knew I was ahead of the fish. I know the fish really haven't got out there yet, but I'd rather be ahead of the fish than behind the fish. Kind of the same thing in the spring. You want to go shallow earlier than they actually get there. You don't want to be behind the fish all season. And I caught 5 or 6 fish and caught fish in 17 and 18 feet of water. And that was fun. I enjoyed it. They weren't big fish. I was looking for big fish and ended up catching the same size fish that were up on the bank. But it was fun. I caught my first fish of the year on a Texas rig worm, and so I enjoyed that.
I saw somebody mention that all ice wasn't open.
Yeah,
but I guess the main marina is open.
Yeah, I know the main marina is, but and maybe they're just a day or two behind or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that is going to get a little bit of break from Johnson Creek. You know what? I'm curious. The last couple of years at Cedar, the water has been really high and muddy this time of year, and there hasn't been as much of a offshore bite for me personally. I'm sure some of the guys that fish it quite often have found an offshore bite, but I think I'm curious to see, you know, this year the water is lower and it's a lot clearer than it has been. And the thing that keeps the fish up shallow, you know, this time of year and going into the post spawn is the shad. The bait stays shallow because the water is muddy. And that's what's been happening the last couple of years. So this is the first year where the water's clear, and I'm really curious to see if the shad will move out a lot quicker, and the groups of bass will kind of split up, because you got some that are bluegill-eated and they're going to stay shallow most of the year. That's just the way they are. But you also have a group that want to move offshore and start taking the shad. So I'm really curious here in the next couple of weeks if you start seeing the schools move out deeper. I'm excited about that. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's I love the chase. I love that. I get excited thinking about that, and I'll plan my tackle the night before I go. I'll try to come up with a reason to go to the lake and a plan of attack. And you know, you don't always hit the nail on the head with what your ideas don't always match what the fish are doing, but I love that part of the chase of it. And it's interesting. The rain affects all of our lakes here a little differently. For instance, Little Grassy is built at the highest elevation of all of our lakes and has the least run-in cubic. I forget. I don't know how it was explained to me. One of the biologists explained to me that it basically has the least run-in and clears up the fastest. Cedar was actually built incorrectly. And they've been, since the day I've been fishing that lake, they've been trying to work on that stupid spillway. You look at that spillway, it's like 20 feet across. And it's trying to drain almost 2,000 acres. And so when Cedar does get high, it stays high for a while and it stays dirty for a while. And it takes it a while to settle out. And then Egypt tends to clear up pretty quick the way it's situated. And then crab tends to stay dirtier. So it's fun what you can chase these. While all these fish are going through the same transitions, it's different in every lake because of the environment that they live in. And that's the fun of it. And we have so many different types of water here that it provides a lot of opportunity to fish differently. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the different challenges that each lake presents. And we're getting ready these fish are spread out right now. So there's going to be a lot of different ways to catch them here for a while.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I started seeing a little bit of sign of some mat starting to show up out on some of these lakes, and that always gets me excited. I kind of actually got my I checked the braid on my punching rod last night. I'm itching to get into that.
Yep.
So
I'm curious too on Cedar. Now Cedar is one of these lakes that I don't worry as much. We were talking about fishing pressure earlier, and I don't worry quite as much about Cedar because it has so much good weed cover. And everything I've read and the biologists I've talked to said average fishing pressure on an average lake generally doesn't hurt the production of the spawn at the end of when it all comes out in the wash. Fishing pressure doesn't hurt the spawn too much. It's the odd instances where fishing pressure can hurt the spawn. And an odd instance would be, for instance, Lake of Egypt right now. The weeds are basically gone. The fishing pressure is off the chart. So, there's an opportunity there to negatively affect the fishery. But normally, most bodies of water, fishing the spawn itself really, and they say, doesn't really hurt anything.
I'd say especially if you're catching those fish off the bed and you're releasing them. If you're throwing them in the live well and giving them a live, that can mess them up a little bit. But there's so many fish that spawn. Like you just said, it would take a lot to really decimate a population. At least you're dumping fish back in the system. But yeah, like you said, cedar's got that grass, that vegetation is a big player in having such a great fishery. That's such a good fishery. I know Kentucky Lake, you always hear about how Kentucky Lake's going downhill. And I was talking to my buddy Gray about this last night on the way home from Grassy. And they haven't had grass for the last 4 years there. So I think, and the fishing has started to really went down over that period. And I think there's definitely a correlation between the grass and the fishing, because the young fry and the shad don't have the places to hide like they used to. There used to be really wide grass map on the main river, and all that bait could get up underneath there and hide. But the last several years, it's not been there, and the fisheries really went downhill. Throw in the aging carp and it just
the aging carp. Yeah, it's a kind of a perfect storm. So, but we'll get through this. We'll get everyone back to work and get them off my lake.
Speaking of work, so what's the latest on the guiding deal up in the last?
Yeah, it isn't. The bottom line is the state of Minnesota has made guiding and charter boats. We have a lot of charter boats, like 20, 30 people on a boat at a time on Mille Lacs. It's all off limits. Right now, it's off limits till at least May 18th is when they've extended their Minnesota's version of their stay-at-home order till. In Minnesota, you are only allowed in the boat by yourself or with family members. It can be more than two, but it has to be, people you habitate with. They don't want strangers in the boat together. So the bottom line, as of January 31st, I had 37 trips on the books for this year. And it's also, that's the last day I booked a trip before all the what hit the fan. And so of course since then everyone's on hold, and I ended up canceling all of May, just for the unknown of what's going on, give people a chance to reschedule. But I've been very fortunate. My clients treated me wonderfully. And every one of them, with the exception of one, due to health reasons, rebooked with me for 2021, and so I'm very fortunate. I'm going to be okay. Financially, quite frankly, I'm going to be okay. I don't have the overhead that some of the other guys I know have. I'm a little worried about some of the guys I know, some of my friends at the lake. They got house payments and boat payments and truck payments and all that stuff, and they raise their families with this income, and it's a true industry in Minnesota, and so I'm a little worried about those folks. I don't know what'll happen in June and beyond. I mean, the virus isn't going anywhere, so I'm just I'm chalking 2020 up to whatever it is that ends up being. If I end up staying here in Southern Illinois, for the most part, that's fine. I'll be back there next year, 2021, with a vengeance. And that's about it. I mean, my business has been affected no differently than all the other businesses that are hurting. So, but the Lord has blessed me, and I'll be okay.
Well, you're in a good place to be stuck.
Yeah.
You got lots of
3 minutes to lake.
Yeah, you could be stuck out in the desert or something.
and for that matter, even if the guiding thing really doesn't, isn't allowed to play out this year, I'm still going to go to Minnesota, and I don't want to take a year off of Mille Lacs and have a year not being up there, and then go up there next year, and then try to get. I mean, you have to stay with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go up. I'll go up this summer for a period of time, even if it's not really guiding related, and fun fish and try and stay current on the lake, because That's a big son of a gun to keep track of.
I bet.
Yeah. Plenty of smallmouth to go around too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I would be up there right about now. I would be up there because the opener, well, it was on Mother's Day weekend, this coming weekend. So, but it looks like I'll be at least a week, 10 days delayed before I go up there. I've got to get some work done to my big boat anyway, and so we'll see what happens. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, one thing I wanted to, on a positive note, I just saw, for any of you tournament guys out there, I know there's, a lot of guys haven't been able to tournament fish or limited to little deals at the ramp that you get into, but it was just announced that the Boy Scout tournament at Crab Orchard is a go.
I think we lost you, Ron. Froze up.
Yeah, we did.
So
Holy cow. Yeah, they know because we're still going.
still going. Yeah. Well, it seems like maybe they don't want you guys to fish the Crab Orchard thing. As soon as they said something about it, they cut him off. I hope he's still alive. My drone might have blew up the house or something.
Could have something, yeah.
Jeez. Just instantly. Well, at least he got that out.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, we're still going here.
So let's catch up on some of these comments while maybe you'll chime back in on this.
Yeah. I seen Sophie was on.
Hey, what's going on, Sophia? We got to do a fishing trip. We went out and tried to do a video, but the fish, we just didn't have the time. The fish weren't cooperating. So,
yeah, I did see Aaron said he was doing an inches tournament in a few days. Ron bailed out. All right, he was having some technical difficulties there. Aaron said doing an inches tournament here in a few days. What like to pick, Wren, Egypt, or Kincaid? I'm just going on a limb here, and I would probably definitely say Wren is out. As far as an inches tournament goes, Wren would definitely be out. Kincaid and Egypt, you've been to Kincaid this year. I haven't been to Kincaid this year yet. So
Kincaid's been fishing pretty solid for the last month or so. There's Ron. He made it back in here. I'd say either one. Either one, whichever one you like the best. They're both. I mean, they're different lakes. Geez, I don't know. I actually go to Kincaid probably. You're going to do that on a weekend, I guess.
Yeah. We'll finish up
around. They're both going to be busy, so I mean, it's really whichever one you want to pick.
Trying to bring her on, but still not bringing him up.
You're still glitching a little bit, Ron. Let's see. Dave says talk about give Marion Reservoir a try sometime. Man, I'm gonna. That's on my list to go check out.
You just said right here. Well, he just said right here.
Okay.
About 175 acres. That's about twice the size of Perry County.
Okay.
Fish is a little smaller when the pads get fully up. Good grass lake. Catching.
Comers and goers, post and points, dragging, shallow flipping. Man, that sounds fun. I need to get over there. I really do. I've heard several people mention that, and that's the kind of stuff I like to go check out. Yeah, I'll definitely.
Steve said he's killing it at Kincaid, so I've heard it's been really good.
It's been really good this year. I mean, it was the lake I picked. This winter, I decided that I was going to try to concentrate on Kincaid more. Normally, I just get over there a few times a year, and I've been over there more, this spring than I have ever.
Now, do you think your success is due to your difference in what you're trying, or the tournament pressure's not over there?
I just think the lakes.
I know there's a lot of people at like Johnson Creek and everything, but if you really think about it, that's a big lake.
Mm-hmm.
But you shut down them big marinas there. That's a lot of people you're shutting off.
If fish is big.
So I wonder if it's just a matter of the pressure being off.
I think that's got a lot to do with it. I think you're right. I think that lake has just been getting stronger over the last several years. It's been taking, if you look at the tournament win, the first place in some of these spring tournaments, there's a lot of sacks that it's been taking 20, 21, 22 pounds to win on a lot of those.
On Kincaid?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It's really coming back.
That's nuts.
It's gotten a lot stronger in the last several years.
Tackle Junkie just hopped on.
What's going on, TJ? So I think that's got something to do with it. And like you said, you got a 3 mile no wake. A lot of people get hung up in that area.
Oh yeah.
And then the people that are focused enough to just go straight out of there, they got a whole lake almost to themselves.
And I know there's a lot of guys that that go all the way from the main marina and run all the way up to Johnson Creek. I know Tackle Junkie, he's a big fan of it. Mike, he's not a big fan of going up there because of dirty water. Right. There's a lot of guys in our club that are big fans of going up there. Mm-hmm. Now, I fish more of the main lake and stuff like that, but you're taking all that pressure from the main lake and bottlenecking all the way up into that no wake zone. And it's getting hit hard right now, but the rest of the lake is just calm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think once they start opening tournaments over there, it's going to be like 21 pounds. That is just for 3 fish?
Or no. That's 5 fish.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 5 fish. No.
Holy cow. I thought you were talking 3 fish.
Like, it's not like 4.
Like, holy cow.
No, I got to idle. There's so many, you got history along the way. And if I'm going to fish that main lake coming out of Johnson Creek, I have to force myself to idle straight out, because as soon as I stop and I catch a fish, I'll start trying to put a pattern together and I'll never make it out. Or I'll make it out with like an hour left to fish, and I won't really get to taste the whole lake. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Let's see if we can get, Ron had something to say. Okay, can you hear now?
Oh yeah, I don't know what it was my internet. It wasn't you guys. So I turned my TV off, see if that helped. But I was gonna say June 6th. I think that's Saturday. The Boy Scout tournament is on at Crab Orchard Lake this year, because the Boy Scouts are shut down because of COVID and everything. It's actually going to be benefiting Special Olympics. So it's got a really good cause. I know everyone's itching for a formal tournament, and be no better one to get in than that. And June 6th is early June can be a really good time to fish Crab Orchard. The last few years, the fish, they make a transition out, and then when it gets really hot at Crab, they actually go really shallow. I say there can be a lot of fish caught in that. So anyway, I want to pass that on about
we lost him again.
Oh, Ron's had all kinds of problems tonight.
Yeah, I wonder if did he say it was a buddy tournament, I guess? That's not the...
I don't know. I was trying to look at my date. That's actually the same date I've got our bass club does a handicap fishing day.
Really?
So that's June 6th too. We have a handicap, not company. It's a company. They employ handicap people. And it's a really good deal. We take them all fishing one day, a private place. Take them out there. We help them bait hooks. We help them fish. We clean all their fish for them, so they can have big fish fry. It's a pretty good deal. So.
That's great. Hey, Aaron, I'll find out about that Boy Scout tournament, and maybe I'll put a post up tomorrow on Facebook, or if I see it somewhere, I'll share it on my page. Because that could be really good. That's about perfect for that lake, that post spawn, and those fish will start feeding up again by then.
Heck, the little lakes I fish are getting slammed. Normally through the week, just a few boats and maybe a few dozen on the weekend. My buddy counted 50 boats last weekend. Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've been going some of the lakes that I go to. If you go on a day when it's like 65 degrees and sunny, there'll be, like you just said, a ton of boats. But if you go over there on a day when it's overcast and there's a little bit of rain in the forecast, that same lake will only have 10 boats on it. So and Ron mentioned that earlier. He's been trying to just target the days that aren't, ideal,
aren't pleasant,
which yeah. I mean, it's not the greatest for you too, but a lot of times the fish are biting better. So it works out for both of you.
And like Ron and I were talking earlier, and I told him, I've said from the get-go, just using my personal little local lake here, that with Missouri giving away free fishing until, what was it, April
15th, I think, yeah.
And I've never seen that many people at Perry County Lake. And Perry County Lake's only 101 acres.
Yeah.
But you put, like Ron was saying earlier, 4 to 5 times as many people as it normally takes on a normal spring. And now you got all these people that are going at the same time. And like I said before, a lot of them people are not used to fishing. They're keeping everything they catch. So I think it's going to hurt. Like James said there, it's going to hurt, summer fishing too. I think it's going to put a big dent in it. But
okay, T. Harris is on here. He's got some information about the Boy Scout tournament. It's a 4-person team event, I think. I know the Hartman tournament is like that. No. Okay.
Ron's back.
Ron's saying no. We got a visual. It's not the Hartman, it's a different one.
I was gonna type you guys, but no, it's just a 2-man. The Harkins is the 4-man. It was canceled.
Right.
Weekend of April. The Harkins Sanders Memorial is the 4-man that got canceled. Possibly rescheduled for the fall, but no date yet that I know of. But I got word today from Scotty Edwards, SI Bass Busters, June 6th. It's a go, and it should be a really good tournament. And everyone's going to be itching to get out, and I'm sure they're going to run it correctly with social distancing and whatnot, and be smart about things. But that should be a good one.
What's the entry fee on that? What's the entry fee on that?
That I do not know. It's probably about $200.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually about $100, man. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I didn't pay that close attention. But most of those tournaments of that caliber are at least $100 a man. But that's a 50-year tournament, guys. Actually, I think 51 or 52. Harkins was supposed to be the 53rd annual this year, which before it was canceled. They just had the 50th Bassmaster Classic. So these tournaments are older than the Bassmaster Classic. A lot of history in Southern Illinois with these. And so I was really excited to see. I'll probably end up having to be in Minnesota, which is not a bad thing. But I'm glad to see that they're going to be able to have one of these tournaments. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's been, like you said, it's just been a little back club and wildcat. It would be nice to where everybody feels like they can take pictures and share it on social media or do whatever they do. That's so hush hush. Like, you don't have to wait in the back of a code.
Yeah. This will be running right.
Asking for a friend. So what's the weather like over there? Did you get some rain today too?
It went south of us again. We got thunder and a little bit of rain, but the bulk of it went south of us just like it did yesterday. I was actually hoping for a little more rain. We could use a little bit. Let's see. Oh, where do you sign up? I don't know. They just announced it today. I don't know where the apps will be. Years past, the apps were always in all the local sporting goods stores, Dunn's, everywhere. You could go pick up an application. This year, I'm not sure. I would check SI Bass Busters Facebook page, and there might be some more information on that. And I can, as I find out more, I'll pass on more information to these guys so that they can forward it to the people that follow you. Yeah, for sure. But I was just excited to find out they're actually going to be able to have one. And
it seems like they're starting to open up a lot more stuff now.
Yeah, and people are learning how to
cope with
be
it.
responsible, and I think I'm sure they'll have enough planning where they can hold a big tournament and do it the right way.
Well, I got a question for you, Ron. We were kind of going to focus on the postponed to summer transition.
Mm-hmm.
What do you typically find goes on with those fish at Egypt? Do they some of them stay shallow, or do the majority of them get offshore?
It depends on water clarity. Obviously, they'll take advantage of that shad spawn. But I think this time of year, fish get about as spread out as they do all year long. This in the fall when some of those fish start to move. So there's small pockets of fish in a lot of different types of water. If the water's dirty, it keeps it simple. It just keeps them shallow. If it's clear like it is right now, you're going to start to see fish. They'll stay with those shad, but there'll be some, how this lake is with the shad. Those shad get out there pretty quick, and they'll go where the shad go. That's basically it. They'll stop at secondary points and little obscure little places off the beaten path. I think the fishing pressure moves, and especially this year, the fishing pressure will reposition some of those fish. They might sit in some places probably where a lot of guys' boats are sitting. Yeah, and so I think you got to have an open mind this year, and pay attention to your electronics. I don't think you're going to be able to beat the bank and catch good fish. You'll be able to catch fish. There's a lot of fish. It's a miracle how many fish are in the lake. But speaking of big fish, I think they're going to get in obscure spots, and it'll be bait fish oriented. On Egypt for sure. It's always shad oriented. So that'll be get on the water and see where the shad are, and once they get off the spawn and start moving out.
It looks like somebody said Paul Ice Boat is opening. They launched there.
Where at?
Paul Ice on Tuesday.
Yeah. Good.
You don't think our noise is to do with internet?
You think it is?
Because it lags.
It's that thing
Yep.
Okay. We're just trying to figure out. We got a little bit of an echo in here like we have in the past. So just part of it. Sometimes a good show you got to get a little bit of headache.
Yeah, I deal with them all the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't even. I saw you yesterday. I didn't realize that was you until I sat down, because I kind of blew past you, and I sat down on that point, and you were down on the bank there, looking out the back of your boat, because you got a hole fixed. And I didn't realize that was you until you said something. So sorry for waking you out right there.
Oh, no big deal. When I first went by you, I saw you. I didn't want to stop. I knew you were fishing a tournament, so I didn't want to stop and run my big motor close to you and screw up any fish around you. So that's why I trolling motored up to you a little later.
Maybe you should have ran your big motor. It might have helped. They weren't on that spot.
Well, that's all right. That was a good little spot though, at that general point. But,
yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed. I know I was out deeper than what most of those fish are yet, but I really enjoyed that, and that's going to be my approach. This post spawn to summer thing, the way I approach that on any lake is I'll go to where I think those fish are going to be in the summer, and then I'll try and backtrack it back towards wherever the spawning areas are. I'll try and approach it that way. Whereas in the springtime, I do the opposite. I try to go shallow where I know they're going to end up, and then work my way back until I feel like I'm intersecting fish with some sort of consistency. That's just how in my mind I kind of eliminate water. But I always try to, when fish are in transition, I always feel it's better to be ahead of the fish, get to where you know they're going, and go backwards instead of trying to chase them. I find that for me, it's easier. I can find them quicker that way. And for me, it's easier to do that in clear water because I myself, I like to fish offshore. Dirty water, they might stay shallow in 3 feet of water till July if the conditions are. That's a totally different ballgame. But in clear water, they're gonna eventually get off the bank and get out to wherever they get to. Probably, and usually set up above whatever thermocline level sets up there on your lake in the summertime if it has a thermocline.
Yeah, and they're tired of getting pounded on too. They're ready to get off, to do their thing, get the spawn over, and get out and take a break.
Yeah, and those females, they come up, they say hello, have a cup of coffee, do their thing, and they're gone. The poor males, they're there, they build the nest, they guard the nest, they court the female, they guard the fry. One of the documentaries I was watching say they've documented male bass that don't eat for a month. Now they might chase something away and you might catch that fish because it's getting your bait away, but they won't physically try to eat for a month. Jeez. That's crazy to me.
That's like the emperor penguins. You ever watch the documentary on the emperor penguins?
No.
They're pretty hardcore too. I mean, they sacrifice. I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be about, is just, you know, having your offspring, guarding them, and doing it all over. You know, that's the very necessities of life.
The whole life cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun if you can find it, if you can figure out on your body of water how to find where those females go and what they do, or how they're vulnerable. That's always the challenge.
Yeah, and you can usually have them for yourself for a while.
Yeah, if you can find them first. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that post-spawn to summer transition is always interesting. And I always think of Kentucky Lake too, the ledges. I'm no ledge expert by any means, but the few times I've been over there, always, you know, when are they going to get to the ledges on Kentucky Lake? You know, that whole transition there. So it always presents some fun fishing challenges.
Yeah, and they show up overnight.
Yeah, they can. I mean, you think about it. And on these little lakes, you think about it on these little lakes like what we fish here, they don't have to go very far. You know, it might be their summer spot and spawning spot might be 100 yards apart.
Right.
You know, on some of these little lakes, you know, it doesn't have to be a mile down the lake.
Yeah, even if the bass is swimming a mile and a half, it's a mile.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. It can be it'd be a mile. Yeah, in an hour it'd be there. Yeah, exactly.
They can go pretty far in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All righty then. Well, kick Ron off here, but that screeching's getting bad.
Okay, we're gonna let you go on because there's an echo in here, and we got a couple people that are just a little bit too much. So kind of, I guess, I thought we had that fixed, but
it's not our end.
Yeah, it's just the way it's going. Maybe we should have did the headphone thing or something, but I told him we didn't need it if we hadn't had that problem.
Yeah.
So
it's Greg's fault.
That's what I said. Yeah, I'll be blaming that. His computer, right? It's got to be his fault.
Yeah, that's his fault.
Good. So,
all right, guys.
We need to get together here before too long, man. After this all passes over, get back out there.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, I'll follow along.
All right, thanks, Ron. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, man.
Yeah, because now it's fine.
Yeah, we still. It's just that happens on some people's feeds.
I think what it is, it's their speaker or their mic picking up their speakers.
Yeah, and he mentioned, should I use the headphones, and I told him no. So it's kind of my fault, which maybe.
Well, it's not a big deal. You just gotta learn.
Yeah. So let's get into. We were talking about the
white whale.
Where's he at?
Greg's.
Yeah,
it hasn't come through yet. It's coming. It's getting ready to come through.
I see DJ said he can never be a male bass, not even for a month. Yeah, I hear you, man. They got it tough. See, the human race is exactly the opposite. The mother takes care of the kids forever, and the male's just kind of there. Well, the male takes care of the kids too, but she's definitely. Well, I'm trying to help myself out here too. I'm just kind of stuck.
I was going to say, you're just digging the hole deeper.
Yeah. A proper dad is there for his kids. Let's say that. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah. They're definitely not going for a month without eating.
Greg from Whitewell Fishing thinks I'm breaking everything now.
You get that when you have a kid. You get that baby fat or whatever. You know, you swell up and start eating Dairy Queen and cheeseburgers and stuff.
I don't know what you
don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've been there. It happens. 2 years of that.
Well, if that's the case, then Whitewell's going to see it here shortly. He just had a little one here not too long ago.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't think. Actually, there was one up here. We're
gonna check some of these comments real quick and try to get through these.
Yeah. First of all, nobody listen to this guy. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's throwing me under the bus here.
As soon as we get through these, we'll go. I brought some baits, and we'll just kind of talk about the post-spawn to summer transition and kind of what we look for in this area.
So, see what we got here.
Yeah, we covered the Paul Ice. It's open, which I didn't know that. Lake Murfreesboro is open too, which that's a good little lake. It's right next to Kincaid. If you guys have never been there, it's a 10-horse lake though.
It's pretty much all that's in there.
Okay,
they're talking about the echo and stuff through there. So.
Okay. Good deal. So let's talk about some baits.
Shh. You better be quiet.
Okay. We'll start with grass lakes. And guys, please participate in this if you got suggestions on what your go-tos are and stuff. So we're going to talk about post-spawn this summer, that transition period. And we're going to start with
let me start with this.
Okay, go ahead.
If you guys are out on a big lake and you see some poor SOB on a trolling motor in the main lake, headed to one end or the other, in the middle of the lake,
Pull over.
don't blow by him at 50 miles an hour and think he's just out there for a joyride with his trolling motor.
So is this somebody you know, or?
Oh, everybody on Lake Beach at the other day. I blew my water pump, and we're just trying to get. We have a 3.5 mile run.
Oh man!
And trolling motor all the way back. I mean, it was brutal.
They thought you were on that post-spawn bite, like you were the
first. In the middle of the lake.
You were the first guys to find that offshore bite.
Yeah, because we had to cross over the lake because we were on that side, but we had to cross over. And there's pontoon boats, there's little jet skis. I mean, there was everybody out there. And then lo and behold, and I'm not making fun of old people at all, but these people must have been 80s, I'm guessing. And they had this little V bottom. I don't know, little Crestline or something, whatever. They come by, and I bet they weren't 50 foot from me. And I mean, I had to almost sit down on my deck. I couldn't stand up because the waves were just throwing my boat everywhere. I'm like, come on, people.
Well, did you take your shirt off and start waving it around in the air?
Well, no, I want to scare the hell out of
everybody. That's the best way. They think you're crazy, you know?
Yeah, they're like, look at that fat chick over there.
So what happened? How'd you get back?
That's how we got back with the trolling motor.
The trolling motor.
Yep.
You trolled that whole way.
Yep.
And your batteries held up.
Yeah.
Wow. Very fortunate.
So yeah, it was a long haul, but I mean, we couldn't do a whole lot of fishing. I mean, here's the deal. You know, we're getting ready to talk about post-spawn and this and that and going that transition. I knew those fish were on the steeper banks. And Ron said a while ago, and he made a perfect point, is those fish were where your boat was normally at. And that's exactly where they're at. The problem was I couldn't get back in that first third of the cove to fish there and fish some steeper banks because I didn't want to take a chance of running out of battery.
Yeah.
So we had to stay on the main lake and kind of just go that way. But anyway, that was my point of getting to it. Is Ron was exactly right. That's exactly where the fish were at, but I couldn't get to them.
Yeah.
Without fear of running out of battery.
So what? How did this happen? This happened right off the bat in the morning.
Yes.
So you're running and
we're running, and I went back into this arm, and all of a sudden it's beep, 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 and the motor just goes and just died.
Just died.
And I looked back, and I could tell it was just barely really shooting water out of it. And I knew right away what it was. And that's, when you blow a water pump up, that's what it does. It shuts that motor off so it doesn't get hot, and then just you're done. Now I could start it up and it'd run for a minute or two, but I mean, as soon as you get into it, it would just die or whatever. But
right.
I didn't want to take a chance. I wasn't burning my motor up, and I knew I had to load it yet. So I figured I'd have an easy 30 seconds where it wouldn't get too hot, but I could load it. So I just saved it for that.
Well, I'm glad you made it back, man.
Yeah, me too.
I had a
long swim for my partner pushing the boat.
I had that. I used to have that motor guide. It's the wireless trolling motor on my John boat, and we were fishing the tournament. This is a couple years ago. It was in early March, and there was the Illini team trail tournament going on that day. Big boats. We were in a little 9-9 club, so we only had like 10 members. Okay, we're all on like 14, 15 foot John boats with 10 horse motors on there, and it was foggy, and we left before the big tournament took off. So we get to our spots. I was all the way down by, let's see, probably the second creek down there. I'm not even sure what that is, Sugar Creek or something. I was down in that area, but I got to my spot and my trolling motor, the wireless foot pedal, the batteries had died in it. And so I had no trolling motor at all. And you can't even turn the head of the trolling motor without that foot pedal working.
It's internal.
Yeah, you had one, right? Yeah, you had it. So you're dead, and it's useless. You can't turn it on. It's nothing. So I had I was gonna run back to the marina and pull my boat out of the water, and then go find a place, because all it is these little 2032s or something, little calculator batteries.
Yeah.
But I was gonna pull out and go try to run some down, but it's foggy. And all of a sudden, here comes all these big boats, You know, these boats are like 20-foot boats with 250s on there. I'm just kind of sucked to the side. It's really, really foggy. And it snowed for about 2 hours that day, big old snowflakes. So I had a little bitty oar, one of those short oars, like a 3-footer. So I'm sitting there sculling, you know, amongst all the waves that are trying to blow me into the bank, and I'm sculling along. I'm trying to stay like 10 feet off. And I actually ended up catching a couple fish doing that. But that's one of my stories that comes to mind about having some kind of mechanical difficulties in a tournament. It's a bummer, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, it's the way it is.
Yeah, we'll get into this transition because this is a good topic. I think for the most part, we keep it to where we try to stay in front of what's actually coming.
Right.
To give people a chance if they, you know, they watch the show or whatever and everything, you know, it gives them that chance to get set up for it and be ready for it. Where a lot of other people are just going to talk about something that's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason they do that is because they can shoot video of it and say, hey, this is what I did, which is a good idea, but we're trying to get ahead of the game and help you guys out.
And I usually hurt myself because I'm usually ahead of the fish too far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real bad about doing that. It's because I'm thinking about, I kind of get bored doing something. So, you know, the last month or so, there's been a really good chatterbait bite. There's been a really good swim jig bite. And after I do that a couple times, it's kind of like I know it's coming. And so I'm a little bit ahead of it. And then it gets there and I'm doing it. And then I'm ready to try to get a jig bite going, you know, and then I'll start playing with the jig bite. And then I'm ready for.
Now, have you noticed the jig bite not being on quite as much this spring?
Well, it's gotten better. The last week or so, it's gotten better.
It has.
It really has.
It, for me, typically starts about a month ago. Normally.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it has to do with we haven't had any rain.
I don't know. What do you guys think out there?
That's the only thing I've seen that's changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going off perfection or where I'm at now. I mean, not necessarily the bigger lakes, the tournaments, fish and stuff like that, but like the pond, Perry County, stuff like that. I've noticed it hasn't been there.
Right.
And that's pretty unusual for me.
I agree 100%. I mean, because I always got a jig on my deck, and I'll throw it for at least 20 minutes or so just to check it. You know?
I didn't know if it was the weather or just all the pressure of the water. But like I said, a couple of places I have been that haven't had pressure, it's still like that. So
yeah, no, I noticed the last couple of times I've been out, there's been a pitching, you know, like a tube or a jig bite has been starting to happen. Yeah. I don't know what has changed. I don't know if it's well, a lot of it is because I think those fish are more locked up on beds now, and you're dragging that stuff through their bed. I think sometimes. Like prior to that, I was focusing more on hardwood cover, you know, with the chatterbait and the swim jig, and those are still pre-spawn fish that are sitting in there. But I think some of the other areas that I've been fishing with the jig, I'm dragging it through their beds. But yeah, it's strange. I definitely noticed that.
I can plug this back in too.
Okay, I'll get that going again. So let's talk about well, just one more thing, guys. Get a can of this. I'm not sponsored by plugins. Where are we at? Okay, here we are. Have you noticed the gnats coming out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So about this time every year, these gnats start coming out, and they're ridiculous, and they get real bad on the lakes, especially when we got flooded water out in the fields and stuff. When the river's up, the Mississippi River's up. I'm sure you guys remember the great buffalo gnat plague of 2 years ago. Man, you couldn't even hardly fish. I mean, for what was like that was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, at least. I remember we had a tournament at Crab Orchard actually. And the guy I went with, he's bald. I mean, just keeps it but shaved, bald. Well, he says he keeps it shaved. I don't think he can grow any hair, but anyway, no, we were at Lake Wapello. That's where it was at. We fished down there, and it was right off the bat in the morning. I mean, as soon as the sun come up, the gnats, those buffalo gnats or whatever, were out. I actually had the face shield on up over my head. I had my eyes like, you know, in my glasses and everything. I could barely see the fish or not anything. And he's back there, and I gave him one of my face masks, and he put it on. We didn't put it over his head. And later that day, he called me, and he's like, at night, and he said, hey, man, you got red bumps on you? I said, no. He goes, I got red bumps all over. I'm like, man. Really? He goes, yeah. He goes, a couple on my face, and that was it. Well, 2 days later, he had whelps everywhere, all over his head, everything that wasn't covered. So I don't know if he had an allergic reaction to him or what.
Some people are. I worked with the lady that got big old whelps on her legs, and they're attracted to certain. I don't know if it's got something to do with your diet. I mean, maybe throw a little garlic into the mix and it'll keep them away, but they're certainly attracted to
That
certain.
is not true.
Really?
No,
Don't worry,
because the bang garlic spray did not help. We tried.
So this helps, guys, right here. This Buggins, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but that's
if you hold up there, it gets a little better.
yeah, that's legitimate stuff, man. Go pick some of that up. They got it at Buckeyes, I think, probably at Walmart's. But that
stuff
off
works.
doesn't work, but that does. It's got a vanilla to it, and it really, because I did the same thing. I had a buff on, and they'd still fly up underneath your buff somehow, and they get in your ear, and they start swimming around in your ear and drive you nuts. You know.
And I'll say one thing about a buddy of mine, his dad, who used to fish with every once in a while, great guy, but he always bought that vanilla extract and keep it in a little bottle, and he'd always take it and wipe it behind his ears and then across his throat like this, and that's all he ever used.
It attracts the ladies too.
Well.
Yeah, no, that stuff's good stuff. You can use it on worms, you know, like plastics and stuff. Okay, let's get focused here. So we're gonna talk about grass lakes. That's what I fish a lot of grass lakes around here. And so what happens is after the spawn, a group, well, this actually depends on the watercolor, but let's just say the water is 3 to 4 foot visibility, you know, pretty normal. You don't have that spring stain anymore. So after the spawn, these fish are going to kind of hang around in the grass area. They got cover over their head. They're going to regroup. They're going to sit there for however long they do, a few days usually. And then typically a group of these fish are going to stay shallow throughout the summer. And then there's going to be the other half of that group, or a big portion of those fish are going to migrate offshore, and they're going to set up on some of the points and stuff. They'll still relate to the outside grass line, but they're going to move out a little bit. And some of them will even go to just actual structure out offshore, brush piles and stuff like that. And that has to do with the bait. So these grass fish, the best way to target them, or not the best way, but one of the ways I target them is I'm gonna be starting out with the frog a lot of times. If I can get a frog bite going, I'm going to stick with that the whole day, because that is really, really fun. You can cover a lot of water doing that.
A lot better quality too.
Well, a lot of times it's a lot better quality. And as far as colors, just keep it simple, black and white. And you can throw a bluegill pattern in there, something that's got some orange or yellow in it. But you don't need a whole lot of, you don't need a huge variety of frogs. This KVD frog, this is an ish frog. What's some other frogs you use?
Terminator frog. That's a popping frog, but I mean, I would say, I'll just throw this out there. The popping frog, I kind of say for more of a warmer water. I would say when you're getting above 65 to 70, I think it's when that really turns on. Yeah. I think your river to sea frog there, the ish frog, that's definitely more of your starter frogs, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is more of a mat frog. I will fish the popping frog on a mat, but usually that's better around sparse grass. But the Bronzeye 65 in the regular or the popping version, that's a really good frog. The Booyah pad crasher. There's a lot of them out there. As far as a frog, what you're looking for, you want a good hook, and you want it to be soft. Like when you grab that frog, you should be able to pinch it down really easy. It should expose those hooks good. We won't talk too much more about frogs, but typically I'm trimming the legs off a little bit. They come out really long like that. And one tip that Greg always said is he'll take the skirt and go up to about the eye and cut it off about right there. That's a good rule of thumb right there. But usually about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of legs. And it's kind of controversial. I've got this side trimmed shorter. Supposedly that helps it walk better, but these frogs walk so well, it doesn't matter. Now I will say the shorter your skirt is, the more side to side action you've got.
It's not dragging in the
water. Not dragging. That's right. But there's a ton of good frogs out there. You just really keep it simple. One more tip I'll show you, and you've heard us talk about this, is that little thing's there.
Well, here I can get rid of that.
One more thing to think about is bending this hook up just slightly. You just take you some needle nose pliers, and I'm talking like a 1/16 of an inch, and that will, instead of that hook wanting to drive into the frog, it gets it up a little bit, and it'll stick in the roof of their mouth. So when that compresses, the hook's up just a little bit. Now you don't want to go too far, because then you're going to start catching grass. So there's a fine line there, but that can really pay off. And then the other frog / toad that I'll use is this ribbit. I really like the ribbit this time of year. And the horny toad is a little more finessey, a little more subtle, but I like black, same colors, black and white. There's a bullfrog color. There's like a Catapula. Those are more of your, your oranges and yellows. And as far as rigging this up, you talked about this last week. If you put a horny toad or a ribbit on just a regular, say 4/0 EWG hook, it's gonna roll over on you. When you start to retrieve, it seems to roll over. Half the time it's going to roll over on you, and the hook point is on the top. And I mean, the bend is on the top, the hook point's underneath, and you're going to miss a lot of bites because it's not set up like it's supposed to. So the way to combat that is to get some of these hooks that have a weight in them. This isn't a Zoom makes one, it's called the Horny Toad hook, but this is an off-brand one. I got these down at Fast 80s down at Kentucky Lake, but it's basically the same hook. So it's got a screw lock in it. I should twist this off. It's got a big screw lock in it. It's got this is a 4/0 hook. It's got a really nice bite to it. So you just screw that in there. You know how to do that.
Yeah. And I'll say one other thing you guys can look for too. If you're looking for a weighted, I throw a weighted belly hook on there. And a lot of times you can find them in the swim jig sections or by the swim jig or the swim bait hooks and stuff like that are belly weighted. But the main thing you want to look for, let me see your hook here and I'll show you. Well, yours is going to be backwards. So actually I can take this. So the main thing you want to look for is, let me get it up here, a bit of focus on that, is that eye. So on the swim bait ones, that eye's running straight up and down like this. Get my thing right there. Straight up and down like this. But if you look at some of the other ones, they're actually laid like this. And those work perfect for that frog, but it actually keeps that nose up off the water. So they work really, really well. I've had really good luck with them. I think the ones I have are, I'm trying to think. I think they're Gamakatsus.
Nate says that Lake Fork makes a good frog hook or owner beast hook. Yeah, and then actual Stanley makes a double hook that's made for the rivet, and those work good too. They help keep that frog upright. It's all about just having a little bit of weight. You can actually I've done this before. You can take just a big EWG, like just a 4/0, and pinch a split shot on there. Or they make these weights that are crimp type weights. You can crimp just something on that shaft there just to get a little bit of weight. But the lighter the better. 1/8 ounce is the perfect size. It's just enough to make that thing keel over and keep that thing running. But these are great baits. When you're trying to cover some water, this is coming over the top. Those fry garters, they don't like stuff sitting above them. The hollow belly, and then this really will catch a fish. You could throw a buzzbait in there too, but we're talking about grass and
kind of getting off the subject there.
Yeah, we are. I get a little.
We don't want to go back to how to slap her in the face with
it. Okay, so let's talk about when these fish are relating to the outside of the grass line. This happens in post spawn as well. A good way to target these, and you'll agree with me on this, is a swim jig.
Yeah,
couldn't
agree more.
And this is going to kind of coincide with the shad spawn right now. A lot of times, the post spawn and the shad spawn's happening at the same time. So I'm typically going with shad colored stuff. As far as anything that I'm swimming. But that little bait right there, that will get you some bites. It's a small bait, but it gets some big fish.
And I'll be honest, I keep mine very, very, very simple when it comes to swim jigs. It's either that white color like that with the chartreuse, the very little chartreuse in there. Either that, or I go with a completely translucent color, like a silver, something that's going to mimic those shad, or the black and blue. I don't mess around with a whole lot with the bluegill color, stuff like that. Not that I haven't got bit on them, but I would say those are my three main focuses right there.
Yeah, I seem to get more bites on a black and blue or the shad color than I do so much the bluegill. I don't know why.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
As far as trailers, this is just a little dipper made by Reaction Innovations. You'll see this on a lot of my baits. This is just a great all around trailer for a lot of stuff.
See, I'm big into either the speed crawl or the 2-and-tail grub, and then the Rage Menace. The Rage Menace is something that I use typically for if I'm going around docks and skipping or way underneath tree limbs, stuff like that. If not, I usually use, like I said, the speed crawl or the double-tail grub. But I'm not a big swim bait fan on them. Not that they don't work. Really? I know they work, but I just don't use them that
It's
much.
kind of like, this is one of the first things that I put on when I started fishing it and I started catching fish. So usually whatever you catch fish on, you got confidence on. That's why there's so many different options out there. You know, whatever you buy and have luck on, you're going to have a tendency to keep buying that same thing.
And you were, okay, before we get off that topic of just being off that outside grass, I'm going to throw two things out there that I've used for a long, long time and have a lot of luck with. One is that single. One is going to be just the regular old Cinco or the dinger or anything like that, just completely weightless, falling down that first, let's just say 6 to 8 foot of water out in front of the grass. That slower fall really, really does it. And that's why a lot of times I'll throw that Cinco or that dinger. Works really well. Another one is just your regular Texas rig baits. But like Gabe said in his last video about not pegging that weight, do not peg that. Because like he said, you're coming down, that weight can drop down, and I throw it on a lot of slack line. So that weight can drop down, but that, you know, whether you're throwing a rage crawl or one of the Guggen bandito bugs or whatever, it's got that slow fall, but it's got a lot of action coming all the way down that water. And that really triggers bites on the outside of that grass. Because a lot of times if they're sitting down there or they're sitting at the edge of that grass watching that come by them, they'll come out and grab it a lot of times.
Yeah, it's sometimes those little things, and that's not saying that you won't still get fish, you know, throwing a bait that's pegged, because when they're biting, a lot of times they're biting, but there's a lot of days when they're not, and those just a little bitty thing can make a big difference. Another bait that you can throw on that outside grass line that works really good this time of the year is just a little Kitech. I think this is it's not really it's like a 3/8, I believe. I think this is 3/8 Kitech. And I've actually got this rigged up on that same frog hook. All I've done is I've put this is just a little willow leaf blade that comes on a swivel, and I put a bobber stop on there just to stop this thing from sliding back. This is something I made. So I just put, you know.
I'd like to see you get that bobber stop on there.
It was a little bit tricky. Well, I was scared about puncturing my thumb. You know?
Exactly. That'll hold the pliers.
I think that's what I did. I think I took pliers and I kind of eased it down there.
Yeah, because I've tried that several times and it has not been successful.
You can turn out really, really bad. Or you got to have the big ones or you'll split it too. You know, if you got the smaller ones, you'll just split that bobber stop. But that thing works great, man. This little swim bait, it's weedless. It comes through that grass pretty well. Those fish are sitting out on the outside. If they're suspended up more, they don't want something on the bottom or something on the top. You can put this and that swim jig right in their face and pick up some bites. It's got that little bit of flash, just a little bit something different. So let's stay suspended and let's move offshore a little bit. So out off of these points, this happens a lot on all these lakes. You're graphing and you just see these fish that are kind of sitting out there. A lot of times they're relating to shad, but sometimes they're just kind of sitting out there. Those are usually, if there's not shad around, those are usually neutral fish or negative fish, but you can still get some bites off those fish. If they're shad around, you know, they're going to bite good. So,
I mean, this is when you want to throw your wake bait?
If the water's really, really clear, you can get fish to come up to 20 feet, I guess. So I'm going to stick with this little swim bait, but I like the underspin. This is just the Roadrunner style head underspin. There's a lot of companies that make these now. That one's kind of split over there. I was actually throwing that on Table Rock. I've got these off of eBay. There's a lot of terminal tackle you can buy for half the price on eBay. That's pretty good. But this is a 3/8 ounce horse head. And I'm going to be fishing this down to, I don't know, you know, you're fishing through the water
15,
column.
20.
Yeah. 15, anywhere from like 7 to 15 for those suspenders. Little swim bait. Another bait that I'll put on the same setup is a fluke. This is a deadly fluke or deadly bait too. Just the regular fluke or the Zoom Fluker Super Fluke Junior will go on there too.
I tell you, the fluke, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated swim bait style baits out there on the market.
Yeah, you know, I got away from it a little bit, but
yeah, like I said, in the fall, that double fluke is one of my favorites to throw.
Mm-hmm. I used to fish a fluke all the time.
I even told you before, you know, at the local lake here, we've got stripers in there. And you get in the fall, and I throw a weightless fluke in there, and it just schools them. And you can watch one silver slide turn up, and you're on every time.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
And as far as working this bait, there's two main ways. If you're fishing this suspended, I'm just going to throw it out. I'm fishing it on like 14 to 16 pound fluorocarbon with a 7 foot medium heavy rod, just, 7-to-1 gear ratio. And it's just a steady retrieve. Count it down to where you think the fish are. You want to be right in their face or right above it. And you'll know if it's going to work or not. And I just use shad colors, just whatever your favorite shad color is. This is a pretty neutral. I think this is called albino shad or something. It's got some blue and some white pearl in it, but that works in just about any watercolor and any sun conditions, on a sunny day, cloudy day, whatever. But I keep it simple on that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen Simon said he caught a monster crappie. That's pretty awesome. Simon, I don't know if you're a big bass guy or if you're into crappie too, but if you are into crappie, if you scroll up just a little bit from you, Sleep at the Reel Outdoors. That guy's got a huge crappie channel. It's really, really good. And he's got a lot of times on there. I think the guy's something city. I can't think of it. But if you get on his channel, you'll see him a lot. But them guys are huge, huge crappie guys.
And then we'll kind of keep on that suspended thing. The other way you can fish this is off the bottom, and we're going to get into some bottom baits and stuff, but you can actually stroke this thing off the bottom, and it does a really good job.
Now, you're talking about all these suspended fish, but I have not yet seen a deep jerkbait in there.
No, you're right. I didn't grab it all.
Okay.
I caught some fish on jerkbait the other day.
I don't have mine anymore. It's in Perry
I
County.
always forget about the jerkbait.
I have not replaced it yet. I'm not a big jerkbait fan, but I enjoyed throwing that deeper crankbait. It was nice, but it's on a stump somewhere.
Well, you can buy more.
I know.
I broke one off too the other day. They got that rope grass that like they have in Egypt. Grass has got that stuff too. And if you get any kind of crankbait or something caught in that, it's through. So there's a really nice custom painted jerkbait out there on one of those points on Grassy.
So you get beetle spins.
And
I haven't thrown one of them in a long time.
This is another good bait. This is just a 3.3 Kitech on an 1/8 ounce ball head. I'm going to be throwing this on a little bit lighter line. Same kind of fish. You're targeting those suspended fish. So sometimes they'll want this underspin. Sometimes they'll want that flash, and then sometimes they don't want the flash. And you can fish a fluke on that as well. But I'm typically going with the little dipper, like I showed you. What was that? This is the little dipper that's on the swim jig. These are the two baits that I'm going with, either the Kitech or the little dipper.
Yeah, and like Ron said, an A rig if it's allowed. Another good one.
Yeah, the A rig. Can't go wrong with the A rig. So, okay, going back on let's go.
We're out deep.
We're out deep now. We're out on these points. There's not as much grass involved. And like I mentioned earlier with that underspin, you can let it fall to the bottom and you can rip it up off the bottom and work it back like that. Another thing you can do and I love these things, is the hair jig. This hair jig is actually made by, this is kind of a hybrid. This is an underspin hair jig. These are tied by a guy named SNS Fishing. He's on Facebook. He makes good stuff. There's several companies that make good hair jigs out there. Cumberland Pro makes the prayer jig. That's a really good jig. SNS, and you can tie these too. This is his underspin version, and this is another one of his. Yeah, I got a video on tying this.
Yeah. And I normally don't ever throw these until I go to Kentucky Lake, but
yeah, this is a little bit bigger one. I typically favor this size, so you can see the difference in these two quite a bit, and they get even bigger than that. Like the prayer jig is more slender than this. The kind I tie are actually a little bit smaller than this, but this is for your threadfin lakes and stuff, and this is for your big threadfin and your gizzards mixed in there. But these are really good in the post spawn and when the fish get offshore into the summertime. And typically you're going to find those fish by doing some scanning. You're going to locate those schools out on a lot of times it's on the bottom or suspended just a little bit up off the bottom, and that's
or ledges
or ledges, right? Sure, any kind of roll off, any drop, any channel swing, anything like that. And that's a cast to the fish. This is how I fish it. I let it sink to the bottom with slack line, and then I'm going to engage my reel, and I'm going to actually. Some people rip it up like that, and I think that's one of the ways that you'd like to do that, and you can do that too. It works great. Or you can just turn the handle like 4 or 5 times real quick, and it makes that bait jump up off the bottom and just stop, and you'll have a little bit of bow in your line, and you just glide down, let it sit, just do that again. And the bite will usually happen. Sometimes they'll actually follow it down, and before you reel up, they'll have it. So right when you turn that handle, you'll feel them on there. But a lot of times it's when that thing is gliding, you'll see your line. The bow will stop, it'll tighten up on you, or you'll get more bow because it didn't quite go to the bottom, or you'll see your line jump and you get tick. And that's just something that you got to go out there and do it a little bit, and you'll get the feel for it. But man, when you hit it right, it is super, super fun.
I'll tell you the one thing, you can get really used to that action to where you can feel what's actually going on, because when you're throwing a hair jig, especially down Kentucky Lake, like I said, that's mainly where I throw it. You don't feel it as much because it's not a lot of weight there. But if you want to get that feel of it, you can take a spinner bait and just do a yo-yo effect with it, and you'll feel the blades turning. So you'll actually kind of understand what that bait's doing, and you'll feel them going down and everything else. But that's kind of the same way that I work, with the hair jigs down there. Because a lot of times you got that current going through there, so it's coming up like you said, like this, and then kind of coasting back down.
Mm-hmm. And you don't feel these at all. It's not like a chatterbait or a spinner bait. You don't. It's kind of like a swim jig. You don't feel anything on there. You just got to really watch your line. But you will definitely know once you get a few bites what it feels like. And it's a sweep set. It's just kind of reeling into it and kind of just leaning back. You're not slacklining them. It's not like a jig hook set. If you do that, you're going to miss a lot of fish. It's the same way with a swim bait. You don't want to really jack them. You want it to keep coming, and you want it to load up on them and just kind of pull into them.
It's kind of like fishing a swim jig.
Yep. It's really, really similar. They're all kind of similar. So then going back, I forgot about the punching in the grass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're all the way out deep.
We're going to stay out deep.
You're going all the way back to the bank.
If they're not biting, we're going to swing back in. We're going to try one more thing up shallow. So let's stay out deep. As far as on the bottom, out deep, couple different options. If the conditions are right and you think you can catch them on a moving bait, then
now we're getting into my business.
Yeah, we're gonna go with these deep diving crankbaits. There's several of them out there, and they all have good hooks, and they all stick together.
Well,
so I'll let Greg grab a couple of he's familiar with.
As long as he doesn't yank on them, I don't care.
So probably the most popular one is the 6XD.
Yep.
And this is like the gizzard shad pattern. I've had a good success with this.
Now, before we get into that pattern.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk
to the loud one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So guys, this is typical. Ouch. Hang on. So that's typical. Man, I wish that would focus better without that light, but it blows it out. So there we go. So that's typically what you see a lot of guys throwing, especially right off the bat, beginning of the summer.
Show that back too.
Yeah. So it's that chartreuse blue back. It's a really loud color. You're gonna see a ton of guys throwing that, especially in that 6XD, 10XD, or whatever, depending on what depth they're fishing. But keep in mind that first probably month, those fish are gonna see that bait 100 times. Mm-hmm. And like Gabe was just holding up, that's a lot of times when I'm gonna go to more of that natural color. And the reason being is they're seeing all them loud colors. Once they see this, they're going to think it's something natural, and they're going to go after it a little bit more. But I just want to throw that out there. It does make a big difference, I can tell you. That's
a great point. Those fish move out there. They're real hungry. They're real aggressive. They haven't had much pressure, and they like those loud colors. I saw DJ Hawley asked if I put a trailer on the hair jig. I usually don't, but I know guys do. And guys will put a fluke on there or something.
I've never done.
And that when you put that fluke on there, it pushes. Let's see if I can illustrate that. That plastic pushing up on there will make the hair spread out, so it gives it an even fatter profile. And it slows the fall down a little bit too. Now a lot of guys do that. I haven't, but I'm sure it works just fine because a lot of people do it. So these are loud, like Greg was saying. This is a really loud bait. This is a 6 cents. I think this is the Crush 20. Yeah, and this got
a Crush or Cloud.
Cloud, yeah, Cloud 20. Is that right?
Cloud. I think it's a Cloud, or for deeper ones.
Yeah, that's right. So, but this has got that. It's kind of got a one knocker in it.
It's a heavy one knocker.
It's a heavy one knocker. This thing casts a mile, and this is going to get down in that 20-foot zone, maybe. Kind of like the 6XDs
with about 12 pound.
Yeah, I'm throwing. You're a 12-pound guy, 12-pound test. on crankbaits?
Not. Let's just throw a Kentucky Lake out there. Anything that has current, absolutely not. 15 pound. If it's just an open lake, no current, no nothing like that, and I'm getting down, I will throw 12.
Okay. Yeah, I usually throw 12. That's just that way I know about what everything's going to.
I just don't like the 12 in a river system because there's so much current. It's yanking to you, and a lot of times I found that you get, I don't know, I guess you get hung up a little bit easier with that 12 pound because it gets down so deep.
Yeah,
but
well, that makes sense. You got more. You're demanding a lot more out of your line, so you need to beef it up just a little bit. Yeah. And the current is actually going to be helping pull it down a little bit if you're fishing down. So somebody asked
the fall rate
of the hair jig.
That was Aaron.
You know, it just depends on the actual weight of the jig, but the ones that I tie I'm usually fishing a 3/8 to a half is what I fish around here. I'm not fishing much deeper than 20 feet.
Yeah, and that's we fish like 3/4 to 1.
Right.
But that's like I said, I'm only fishing them at Kentucky Lake where there's current.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it's about a couple feet a second on the fall rate. You know, it just depends on the weight of the jig, but you can figure that out really quick. Just make a cast, give it slack line, count it down. When your line stops, you know, it's on the bottom, and just do the math. Of course, if you add that trailer on there, that's going to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But so we talked about the 6XD, and Greg talked about going away from the loud colors as it gets later into the summer and into the more neutral colors. A bluegill, any kind of bluegill pattern they don't see this color quite as much out there. This is another 6XD, that bluegill or this natural shad. I think this is called gizzard shad. Maybe it's natural shad. I'm not sure. But these are really great baits. These things have caught a ton of fish. They don't seem to get. It takes them a while to get used to those deep diving crankbaits.
You know, one other thing I'll throw out there too. I was just looking at this. You know, if you look at the difference in size of these bills here. You know, that's another option that I'm going to run with 15 pound line is because of that real wide bill like that, because you get so much more digging power with that wide bill. And I think it takes a lot on your line. And if you notice, if you do throw 12 pound on there and you fish for a little while, you'll start noticing your line starting to stress out. And
you're right. You're exactly right. I mean, David Fritz talks about that a lot. That's why he's went to braid, is because he's had
really. Well, I don't know if I throw. I mean, if it works, I guess.
I won't throw braid because I get hung up. I need a little bit of stretch to bounce that crankbait off a little bit.
You do the old popping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
And then, so later on in the year, a lot of times I'll go to this, like the DT16 or the DT20. And this is a balsa wood. It's a silent. It's got no sound to it at all. It's a lot more finessey. And sometimes they get conditioned to the rattles. It's the same way with like a lipless. A lot of times you can start out with the ones with a lot of rattles in them, like your rattle traps and stuff. And then you got to go to like a one knocker because they get used to that sound. Crankbaits are the same way. You have to go from something that's really loud to something that's more finessey, more subtle. There's a lot of different crankbaits out there.
Always keep in mind, throw something different than what everybody else is.
That's right.
Which is not easy to do, but if you got guys out there, are throwing the 6XDs or 10XDs and, they got knockers in them or whatever, throw something silent, throw something they haven't heard or haven't seen,
Yeah. This is a good, another good crankbait. This is the River Seas Goon. It's not near as popular, but it's got an interesting knock to it. It sounds completely different.
It sounds like the same one knocker, just with a larger chamber.
Might be.
That's two.
Yeah, it's got a little rattle in there too, like a little one. So let's see. Whoa, where are we at? Okay, that's your moving baits. Let's go to dragon. Let's talk about dragon stuff. What we got here? Does it delay that much?
Just a replay of you.
Oh, shaking. You're all never mind. Okay, so we'll talk about a few bottom like dragon stuff options out there before we get off of here. The obvious one is a 3/4 ounce football jig, 3/4 to a half ounce or to 1 ounce, and I'm going to be that's like the 15 to 20 foot zone. Just dark colors usually show up better in deeper water. Yep. So your black and blues. Black and blue is really good. This is what's that, muscadine color, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of an Okeechobee crawl color. It's got some pumpkin and some blue in there.
And I'll throw this out there. I told my fishing partner Saturday about this, and when I first said it, he kind of looked at me a little odd. So we were fishing a very, very clear lake, and for you guys that know Lake Egypt, you're familiar how clear it is and this and that. Everybody out there is throwing the green pumpkins, the watermelon red flakes, any natural color that you can possibly think of over there. And he's seen me throwing a black and blue creature bait. And asked me, he goes, why are you throwing such a dark color in clear water? And my first response was, because number one, they do not see that color over there very often. It's not very often that lake gets dirty, but they don't see it very often. And it gets bit. And after about 4 fish, he finally figured out that I was telling the truth about it. And he switched his color. But that just goes back to what I was saying earlier, guys. Throw something that everybody else is not throwing. Mm-hmm. It makes a big difference. Even if it's clear water and you're throwing a dark color that doesn't make sense, there's a reason why it's working. It's probably because they haven't seen it.
Right. And
or you don't see a lot of it.
Yeah. And most people associate black and blue with stained water, shallow flipping, stained water and stuff. But I've seen that at Kentucky Lake out on those ledges, like 15, 20 feet. Those locals are throwing black and blue or black. I've seen them throw all black jig. Mm-hmm. I know guys that the only 2 colors they throw are brown and black out there at Kentucky Lake. And that's because that thing keeps its profile down there deep. I think red is the first color to disappear as you get deeper in the water. But that black and the blue, they hold their color and they're more visible down there deep. And they're natural. That's a natural color. There's a lot of things that have black and blue in them. That's
one thing I never understood, why they make crankbaits that deep red color.
Yeah.
I never understood that.
Because they sell.
Yeah.
They'll still work because you got the sound and the.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's early spring. That's what they're biting on. But
right.
By the time you get down there, like you said, you don't really see that color for the bass don't.
Yeah, it does dissipate at that deeper depth or whatever. I had one more thought.
In Kentucky, Simon.
Yeah. So okay, we talked about that jig. Just the 3/4 ounce football jig is a killer bait out there early. The swing head is another good one. Mm-hmm. This is a lighter one.
I throw the biffle head a lot.
Yeah, the hard head. This is just a swing head. If you guys aren't familiar with this, it's just like a football weight, and it's got a swivel point right there, and it has a lot more action. And usually any kind of creature bait, like a beaver, a menace, rage crawl, anything like that, you can put on this. And that's just you're gonna throw that out. Most guys throw it out and kind of reel it really slow, or you can fish it just like a jig,
or drag it like a Carolina rig.
Like a Carolina rig.
I've had a lot of luck doing that. Rocky points. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, this thing gets bit. It doesn't get fished as much as a lot of other stuff, but it really works. You can even put a fluke on this. There are times when putting a fluke on this will get you bites.
Yep, look like a little bait fish digging down.
That's right. So we're just going to talk about a couple more things here. Now, this is one that I have a lot of confidence in. This is just a Magnum finesse worm, and you can go to the Magnum trick worm, but this is a big shaky head. So a 1/2 ounce shaky head. It's got the screw lock in it. Just a big straight tail worm out deep will get a lot of bites. I got a lot of confidence in this. It catches them. And if you're fishing a little bit shallower and the fish are a little bit finicky, you're going to go with the smaller shaky head. Hold it up. You guys hold it up now. Yeah. So this is just an 1/8 ounce. I'll fish this on spinning rig, of course, with 8-pound tests. And I'm comfortable fishing this out to about 15 foot. But this will get bites on those days when it's really, really tough, and they don't want that bigger profile worm. So this is their regular finesse worm. And then this is the Magnum finesse worm. So it looks kind of weird. It's like
camera focusing on you.
Cut your hair in the mirror. It's weird. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's kind of backwards.
Yeah, it is kind of backwards. So these are both really good options. Okay, Ron.
I just want to throw that up there for everybody that was asking earlier about the club tournament for Crab Orchard.
Okay.
Are either of you pro fishermen? No.
No, we're just blue collar workers that have a passion for fishing, and we're lucky enough that we can get 26 people on here that'll listen to us and learn a few things, and we learn a lot of stuff from you guys too. So one more thing I'll throw. This is you talking about dragging. The Carolina rig is a great option too. I left that out. You know, I actually looked when I was leaving. I looked at my rod sitting there.
Yeah, that's more of a, for me, more of a summer. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Right. But that's a really good offshore deal. So another option on that shaky head is the rage crawl, and this. If you guys aren't familiar with the rage crawl, which I'm sure you are, this thing is such a multi-purpose thing. You can flip it, pitch it, trailer, Carolina rig it. I mean, you could probably just fish it weightless across the grass and reel it in and catch fish on it. It just really, really gets it done. But I'll fish that on a stand-up head a lot out deep, and it gets it done. So that's kind of, I mean, that's the approaches. I know that was a lot of information, and actually, let's swing back into the bank one more time.
Yeah, because evidently we weren't getting bit out deep.
Because this is my deal right here. This is my deal. That frog and this punching deal. I love this. So this is we're back in the mats. We're back up shallow. There's still a group of fish that didn't migrate out deep and get offshore. These are bluegill eaters. These fish are eating a lot of bluegill. They're sniping shad off there on the outside of the grass line that are stupid enough to swim along outside. Yep. The shore minnows. So you're going to.
Caught several of them this weekend doing that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
I love it. And that's typically 50-pound braid, a pretty stout flipping rod, but you want a little bit of tip action so you can pitch and not wear yourself out.
I'll just say you want a soft enough tip that you can lay it in the mat.
That's right. Yeah, you can make accurate
You don't
pitches.
want to be just going plunk. You want to lay it in that mat nice and easy and let it. And another big thing about punching mats, and I will throw this out there, is if you were having to shake your rod tip constantly to try to get that thing to fall through it, go to a bigger, heavier weight. Trust me.
Right. I usually start out with 3/4.
Yep.
And then it goes to a quarter, and then sometimes it'll go to not quarter. It'll go to 1 ounce, and then it'll go to an ounce and
a half, and then 2 ounce. Yeah.
And that's later in the fall. That stuff gets really, really cheesy. But right now, a quarter or 3/4 is where you're going to be at. And as far as baits, this is a BB cricket. I don't start out with this. This is later in the summer. Excuse me, when the fish get a lot of pressure. And the beaver. I mean, I throw the beaver. I throw the D-bomb.
D-bomb is probably one of my top favorite baits.
Yeah,
all the way up until it starts getting a little warmer, and I want something a little bit more action.
But that's usually I don't really get away from those two baits. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. Just any kind of
the Havoc
Pit Boss.
Pit Boss is one of my favorites.
That man bear pig. I started fishing that the last couple of years. It's a little bit bigger profile, and you can actually punch a stickworm like a Cinco or a Maxent General or something.
You know, you were talking about that. I tried last year to do the drop shot in the grass. And I could do it a little bit, but you got to put pretty good weight on there, but it keeps that bait up just a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's a pain in the butt to try to keep the grass off it. I can tell you, I was not a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's a lot more work. That's a problem with the Tokyo rig too. Is it's a little bit tricky in grass as far as punching. It seems to pick up a lot of grass. It catches fish though. It's a different look. And of course, you're going to be pegging this. Just a big bobber stop in front of your weight. I like a flipping hook.
Do you do 2 or 1?
I do 2. Typically, I will do 2. As far as hooks, just a big flipping hook. I like about a 4/0 flipping hook. You can go up to a 5/0 on a beaver, but I like the 4/0. This is actually a 3/0 because I was fishing that little bitty. This BB cricket's a really small bait.
Yeah,
but I like that plastic keeper on there.
Yeah, I throw the choker flipping hooks. And the only time I ever go up to a 5/0 is something like the 4.5-inch creature baits.
Right.
But other than that, it's most of the time it's a 4.
I think you pin the fish a little better with that smaller hook. It seems to, once it gets in there, it seems to hold them better. And you don't have, when you move up to that 5/0, that the actual gauge of the hook
is a lot
bigger, and you get a bigger hole in there. And once that hole gets bigger than the barb, excuse me, you're going to lose the fish. So don't be scared to flip a 3 or 4/0. It works great.
Yeah. I know that was talking to Whitewell before. He won't throw choker hooks because they make too big of a hole. But my thing is it's no different if you're fishing in deep grass and you've used to flipping in heavy grass, you don't let them get any kind of, what do I want to call
leverage slack. Yeah.
Slack. I mean, you never want them to get slack. When you get them in there, you're trying to get them out of there as quick as you can.
Well, those trail car have that cutting point on the top, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are going to go through a few more baits because you're
Right.
slicing the top of that bait out a little bit more.
Yep. They do. I think, in my opinion, I think they hold up longer because you don't get that thing yanked down as much.
Okay.
It usually stays up there most of the time.
Yeah, they're great hooks. They're sharp, really, really sharp. And
That they are. And they do not come out of a carpet on top of a boat when they're dug in good.
So we take care of all the questions, the comments, or whatever.
Yeah.
We're caught up. Yeah, that Tokyo rig. I like it. I've caught some fish on it. Crocodigator makes a great shaky head. Yeah, they make great jigs too. The Zapper jig, good crank or good buzz baits. That's a good mom and pop company there.
Yeah.
The Menace is lethal on the wobbler. Yeah, that's right, Gary. That Menace is another all around. I catch a lot of fish on that in the cold water, just Texas rigging it on like a 1/4 ounce weight, pitching it around wood.
Oh, the
Just
Menace?
a straight Menace. Yeah. It's a good little bait. Where is Kentucky Lake? That's in Utah. Oh, is that serious?
I told them earlier, so it's in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I guess we're good, guys. I hope this helped you guys out. Start looking for that post spawn bite. It's going on right now. The first wave of spawners came in April. On the full moon, and we had the new moon spawn, and now that's kind of finishing up. Don't you think it's kind of finishing up for the most part? Yeah. So that's kind of the next thing to start looking for is these post spawn fish. You're going to start getting a good topwater bite. Fish are going to be feeding up aggressive. There's going to be the shad spawn's going to be kind of mixed in there.
And we need to come up with, you guys need to give us suggestions on what lake to go to around here. Preferably one that we don't fish.
For a tournament. Well, somebody mentioned Murfreesboro's open again.
We can go there. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean, do we do you and your boat, me and my boat? Or are we going to do the same boat?
I think we should do, we're open for suggestions on this, but I was thinking we should do like Major League Fishing or what is it, match fishing? Joe Thomas. Anyway, you got 4 periods. One guy's in the front of the boat for a period. And then, you switch. So 2 periods in the front, 2 periods in the back of the boat.
We can do that.
And as far as imaginary line, I mean,
we're taking big boats, right?
Huh?
We're taking big boat?
I don't know. I think we take my 16-foot aluminum. That's a small lake.
Yeah, I guess.
My boat fish is good. The new
That's
boat.
fine.
It fishes
we can
good.
do that.
Yeah. That would be fun, man. I think that'd be fun. We could just do, an hour and a half and periods. Or 2-hour periods or whatever.
T. Harris says he wants to make sure we film that.
Oh yeah, we'll get a video.
For a replay. Oh yeah, it'll be an all-day video. And I think once we do that, I think what we'll do, maybe we'll do period 1 on your channel, period 2 on mine. Let's go back and forth.
Or 2 parts. We can do period 1 and 2 on one channel and 2 or whatever. Yeah, that's a good idea. Split it up a little bit.
Yeah, we can do that.
And so we were trying to figure out what.
Well, we've got 4 cameras we can use, so we can get every angle possible.
Yeah,
and put it together. I think it'll be all right.
We can really take our time and kind of make a little production out of it. I think it'd be fun. But the thing is we got to figure out what the loser has to do for the winner.
Yeah.
So
wait a minute before we go through this. How much hair you got?
Huh? I'm buzzed, man.
So, yeah, he's trying to talk me into the guy shaves his head. So
my wife took me out in the yard the other day and she gave me a haircut. She trimmed up the goatee, took about 1.5 inches off the goatee. Yeah. Well, my daughters, they had pulled down the cooler. Yeah.
Denny, I couldn't agree more with you.
We're going to make an obstacle course in there. But yeah, so the other thing we're talking about was washing another person's truck maybe.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty dirty. It's got pollen all over it.
Oh, mine is too.
Yeah. So that would be that's a pretty.
Oh, loser
reward.
wash and wax the winner's big boat.
We'd have to take the glass boats in because I don't know. Well, I don't know. Can you wax aluminum? I'm sure you can.
Oh, yeah, I'll wax it. I got spray wax.
Yeah. Well, my boat, you don't want to lose, man. My boat is bad.
Oh, your boat's bad.
Yeah, I got the water line on there.
I do too. Yeah.
Kincaid is one of the dirtiest clear lakes.
It is.
You think
it's
the water's clear,
brown.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird. It's just very deceiving. It looks like you've been fishing Lake Wapapello.
So
what's up, Kyle? Kyle jumped on here. Nothing, man. We're just talking about putting a little one-on-one tournament together and try to figure out where we're going to do it and the format and what the loser has to do. So right now it's like we're either washing the truck or washing the boat. That's what it sounds like, unless things change.
now I'm sure we can come to something.
Yeah, I don't know. We could shave each other's back or something. That'd be interesting. Okay, never mind. I had to go out there for a minute. So yeah, ultimate match fishing. There you go, Bass Guy. Thanks, man. It's ultimate match fishing. Did you ever watch that?
I don't think
it's pretty
so.
good, man. They got a ref in the boat. He has a whistle, and they got an imaginary line.
There's no way we could have anybody in the boat with us.
No, we can take one of my daughters, and she could be the referee
For fishing champion belt, like WWE wrestling belts. Winner
Nice.
Winner claims his belt till the next tournament.
Nice. I'm liking that. That's a good suggestion. My daughters are all.
Wait a minute. I know what we can do, and my wife can help us with this. So I say loser has to wear a shirt. We'll come up with whatever we want it to say. I can have my wife make it. I did that for me, Tackle Junkie, and Mike Watts.
Okay.
And Mike Watts had to wear the shirt that said, I can't fish, or I buy lunch because I can't catch fish.
Was it pink too?
No, we just did it in gray, but I can get a pink one.
So that's a good, yeah.
We just have to figure out where you got to wear it.
We had a group of guys that we were fishing.
You know what? Whoever loses has to wear it in the next 2 videos.
Oh, really?
Hey, that's because you're not going to take it off and take a chance of getting caught. And if you're fishing an all-day tournament or an all-day whatever,
That's pretty stout, man.
and you're in a pink shirt,
That's pretty stout. That's a good one. I like that. We got some good options. We got some really good options. As far as the
my wife outfishes me on the back.
yeah, we can actually take a vote on like the top 5 comments or whatever, and then pick one of them or something. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so you guys come up with some comments. You can leave them. I mean, heck, you can leave them on our Instagram or
Let's
Facebook.
do a shirt, man. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, I think
That's a
the
good
shirt.
idea.
So you guys just come up with a saying to put on the shirt, something clean that we can wear out in public because we don't want to get like beat down or nothing. So
yeah, and the next 2 videos we have to wear that shirt.
Yeah,
that's
that
pretty
sounds pretty
funny.
good.
That's pretty funny.
And I will already throw this out there. No, I will not be making my next 2 videos at my pond. I'm not going to do that. It has to be a public lake.
And if we wanted to go with the WWE wrestling belt ideal,
Who makes those?
Well, my daughters, they're into crafts. They can probably come up with something. We could figure something out. It's not going to be legit, like heavy gold and all that, but it'll be made out of some kind of common household items.
Be like a whole box of what were the old Copperhead BBs? Just poured and glued all over it.
Yeah, bedazzled to death. Yeah, that'd be good. And then maybe you have to wear it like for a shopping trip at Walmart or something. You have to walk around Walmart. You can put your sweatpants on too while you're at it.
Oh, that is one thing I do not own is sweatpants.
Yeah,
that could happen.
So you have your mask on and your belt, and you just look like you just attract all kinds of attention.
A pink shirt.
You probably just blend in.
Pink shirt, some cut off jeans with the pockets hanging out.
Yeah, right.
Some Daisy too.
You'll probably get some comments, like some actual compliments. Cardboard wrapped in aluminum foil. There you go, man. This guy's on it, dude.
Yeah. Bass guy coming through.
Got all the good stuff here.
So, yeah. So we'll plan on that. You guys come up with a good saying to put on the shirts. We'll get it put on there. I'll have my wife make them. Or make one size you wear. So I know what size shirt.
Extra large, man. Extra large.
I'm not worried about
cover
myself.
you too, right?
I don't think extra large is going to fit me.
Wait, are you assuming that I'm not going to win? No, I'm good. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Nance is from Murfreesboro. Caught some giants in there normally early in the year though. Yeah. It's I've caught some pretty good fish in there too. I don't fish it that much, but
now Dave has a great big mouth Billy bass on the WWE belt.
Like the full size one.
Could you imagine wearing that around?
That's awesome.
And trying to fish with it?
Yeah, we'd have to get one of those. You remember those woven belts that you had a canteen on, like the Army green ones you used to buy a canteen? You need a belt like that, one that's about 3 inches tall to support something like that. That's a great idea.
We could actually put that on the belt.
There you go. That's legit.
It's a nice little thin piece there.
I have to wear some cowboy boots and like a cowboy hat too.
Oh, if I come home in a cowboy hat, my wife would kill me.
I don't have a cowboy hat. I don't have cowboy boots either.
Well, I don't have cowboy boots, but I got work boots. They'll work.
I like that. That's sharp, man. Where'd you get that?
That was actually on a birthday card I got, I think.
Nice. Looks good.
I think my kids got me that. My wife wanted to.
Dave says yes, a full size one. Woo! That would work. That's funny, man. That's hilarious. You keep it hooked up, and every time you pull it or punch it or whatever, it'll talk all day long. That'd be annoying.
That would have to be for the loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to wear that at Walmart.
Oh my God. Could you? You'd
Yeah.
be on the Walmart.com people.
Yeah,
You'd be on there the rest of them.
You get escorted out, I'm sure. You can't take very much of
Yeah.
that.
So, all right, guys. So if you guys can come up with a saying, definitely we'll get it put on a shirt. We'll get it going. So I think we'll either go pink or I think pink's the only way to go.
Or you can do the high vis orange too.
Oh
Pink,
no, I think
pink's
pink,
even worse.
I think pink's worse.
That's the ultimate. Yeah.
So just think of a saying. Like I said, drop us a line on Facebook or Instagram or something, and we'll get to it. Or you can even come back and leave a comment on this live stream too. That'll work.
Yeah. So you thinking in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks period? I tell you what, if I can I say we do it during the week. Yeah.
That way we don't have to worry about a bunch of boat traffic coming by and everything else
and seeing us.
Yeah. Well,
we won't have the pink shirt on yet.
No.
Yeah.
But at least it'll be calmer. We can do that.
Right.
So maybe we'll get together. We'll figure out a date. You can take off work. Maybe I can take off work, or one of us are off. Whatever.
That's a great idea. So good deal. All right, guys, we're out of here, man. Thanks for hanging with us. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll be on Greg's channel next week.
Yep. And if you guys need to ask about Instagram, Facebook, or anything else, it is all down in the description for you guys to go and enjoy. And please like and share if you would.
Yep.
We'll see you next Monday.
All right. Take care, guys.